All right, so be prepared for ridicule before achieving mastery. When you start in something for the first time, whether it's like a business or content, like say it's social media, you're doing content, you're posting things online, right? You might post whatever your hobbies are, or with the goal of potentially growing an audience and perhaps monetizing off of it at some point, in the future. And you're just kind of starting up and you're trying out, seeing, okay, how can I cater this towards the algorithm to give it the optimum chance to get the most attention. And it's like you're figuring out, maybe what hashtags to use, maybe what caption is appropriate for the video, uh, you know, for the video that it is that you're posting, figuring out all of this SEO like strategies, which is search engine optimization strategies, right? For the best ROI, return on investment, right? And so investment of your time and investment of your energy as well, right? What you actually had to do to come up with the video, and to make sure that obviously the video can get its exposure and grow. And so, when you're figuring things out on social media at the start, and I'm still going through the phase where I'm figuring out certain things on platforms like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and I get different insights like every day or every other day that allow me to further optimize the way I post for all the future content, all the upcoming content. So, and I just adapt to it, however the market is responding in this current moment is what I take away, and I just kind of contemplate on it for a little bit, and then I try and base my content a little bit more around that while staying authentic to myself, and uh, ultimately get the best of both worlds. And so it's a hard process, and it's like when you're at the start of doing something new, learning a new skill, you're going to be a fool. You're going to be dumb. You're going to be stupid. There are going to be things that, should have seemed obvious to you at the start. As you go through it and as you do it and learn more, and then you realize how far behind you are, you're going to be like, damn, why couldn't I do this at the start? You might even start to beat yourself up about how, um, you know, bad you might have been when you first started doing something. You could be mixing and mastering a song, that's and actually, to be personal, it's like that's something that I'm doing. It's like mixing and mastering my own music and making it all on my own and putting it out, right? And so it's like I'm sometimes looking back at my own stuff, content, music, whatever, and I'm like, damn, this is how I started. Like this is, there was so much I was missing here. I feel like but at the same time, it's a good thing to be able to look back at the start of when you started doing something and be like, damn, I was so dumb. Because if anything, it just shows how far you really came. It shows how much more you onboarded over time, and how much more effort and quality that you can put into videos. And ultimately, all of that helps to produce even more quantity, because when you start to improve the quality of your content, you're going to want to put out more of it, right? And um, a lot of the times, that's kind of how things progress if you stay consistent. So it's good to be able to look at and be like, damn, I was an idiot like a month ago or a week ago, whatever it is, or a year ago, but I'm a lot better now. And but now that I've realized I've become a lot better, there's got to be more to do from here. Because if I've managed to make this much progress, then surely there's just as much progress more to make, just as much progress to make, if not more, on top of what I've already accomplished. And that's how I like to think when it comes to, because it helps to stay creative, and it helps to keep your head focused. And even if you are starting to get some results now, you're building an audience, you're making some money, all of that is good stuff. And it's leverage, absolutely. But, don't lose your focus, keep going, and know that you could always be better, you know? Because when you get comfortable, that's when the fall off and the washed allegations start to happen. And then you'll lose your own confidence, and you'll be like, damn, I forgot how to do this, and all that type of stuff. So you kind of need to be day in, day out, as much as possible, if it's not possible to do a day in, day out type of thing for whatever it is that you're invested in and that you want to grow. And so at the start, you can't be scared of people calling you trash. You're gonna put out some stuff, content, whatever it is. You're gonna show off your skills or what it is you're working on and trying to become skillful at. And people are gonna say you're bad. People are gonna say they don't want this, but they're still gonna tune in just to tell you that they're going to tune out, essentially, right? They'll tune in to tell you that they're going to tune out, but they already tuned in and they can't take that back because it's a result. And so that should be enough to be like, right, okay, I probably just need to get better, because if I can see other people are doing the same thing and they're getting huge results, it's clearly valuable to the market. Then I just need to get better at doing it. I need to get as good as them, if not more, if not better, to achieve similar results. And so that's what it comes down to. Just be smart and don't let negative comments or criticism take you too much out of your element. You can onboard some of the criticism if it's constructive to a degree, but if it's just to completely condemn you out of nowhere, then that's where you can be like, all right, he's just talking his stuff. I'm gonna ignore it. I'm not gonna give it my energy, and so you're going to get comments at the start saying you're trash, you should give up. But if you continue, you're going to get better. And over a longer period of time, an extensive period of time, perhaps we're talking months or years, you'll start to, your content or whatever it is you're doing will start to kind of leverage itself over time. It'll take off. You'll have a catalog that people can go back to and kind of consume from back to front. And at that point, you're getting good, you're getting all this exposure, right? And then people are going to say, oh, well, it's luck. Like, people are going to try and downplay it. They go from saying that you're not good to then when you actually get good and you start getting noticed for being good, they're going to say it's luck because it's something that is rare to get good at something. And it's because people just don't really be putting enough time and effort into one thing for long enough or into a couple of things for long enough. And so that's why people are pretty mediocre at almost everything they do. They're not good in the slightest. They may not be terrible, but they stay mediocre in everything that they're invested in because they ain't putting enough time and effort. They're not putting enough practice and theory into what it is they're doing to actually be a standout one day. And so when you do stand out, they're going to say, well, at the start, they're going to say you're not good. When you start getting good, they're going to say it's all luck. But is it really luck? I mean, you feel like it's luck because I might have came up out of nowhere for you. If you're new and you're part of the mainstream audience and you only consume things that tend to go viral and you don't consume anything that has a lower consumption rate or lower engagement rate for that time being, and you're just like, I only care about things that are viral. When I do go viral after my 100th, my 1000th, my 10,000th piece of content, then you're going to tell me it's luck? But in the same breath, like you could easily have a search and see that I've been doing this for a while. And I've stayed consistent at it and I've gotten better at doing it when you compare the first video to the most recent video. So, and it's this discrediting type of behavior that again could knock you off your path. If you're like, damn, like maybe I'm not as good as I think. Maybe something just happened because I've enjoyed doing this for the whole time that it doesn't feel like I'm even that good, even if I'm getting better, because it's kind of the thing of where like I've been doing the same thing for so long that by the time it works, I kind of don't really appreciate it anymore because I'm already so used to just doing this thing. It became my life. So when it actually changes my life, I still have the mindset of like my life hasn't, I still have that previous, like I'm still in a state, I'm still in the state of where my life hasn't changed in the physical sense, or I guess in the psychological sense, but physically it has, maybe monetarily, socially, all of that type of stuff. But this comment is now making me think that I'm not really that good because I've been doing this for so long that I don't know, it's kind of cloudy, it's blinding in a sense where like you kind of can't recognize your skills for your own self, and you can only recognize it from the outside when someone else gives you a compliment. So it's important to know that to know what your skill level is just as much as other people do, because they're gonna try. Because some people are gonna praise you for that, but others will bring you down for that very same thing. And so, as long as you know that you actually have a high skill level in something, then you're not going to be phased or blinded by people trying to put you down. Um, you know, because you're going to be aware, like, no, I'm good at what I do. I know what I'm doing is valuable. That's why it's taken off, and it's got nothing else to do with nothing, other than the fact that I'm good. Luck comes to those who are good. So yes, I'm lucky. If I blow up and I take off and my content reaches 1 million views, and even if for example it reaches 1 million views, say one video does, and then the rest of the videos kind of start to taper off and get like 10,000 views, I still have like a audience there, clearly. It's just this one video may have been more digestible to the mainstream, but it doesn't mean that I'm not good at what I do, or I only had one good moment, or I'm not good at what I do, but I had one good moment, which is why only one video went viral. But the thing is that it maybe there's nuances to this stuff. Like perhaps it was just more so the right message at the right time, and it was able to be consumed by a bunch of people simultaneously, right? Whereas the other videos might take more of time to pick up and take off, because perhaps the message is one that came too early, or a topic that's not being talked about enough, right? It's not widespread information. It's kind of more so like nuanced, niche, so underground, you might call it. So it's just, know that you're getting better, and be patient and put out what it is you want to put out. And people, the market will find its place for it. People will consume it. So I try not to get tight on like certain comments that are discouraging or try and take away from what I'm trying to build and what I have built, because it's just not worth it, So I feel like, yeah, if I get lucky, okay, I got lucky, even if it's just one time I got lucky, but for the other 1,000 times that I tried, I've been pretty much owed it. My like luck has been owed to me because of how good I've been. So I'm deserving of the luck. It's like people don't just get lucky. I don't think that's the case. You could maybe boil it down to the lottery, or yeah, you got your lottery ticket, but you don't know how the person was living their life before they won the lottery. Perhaps, don't you know that a lot of people who win the lottery say, they literally buy a ticket, like a £1 ticket for a draw of bingo or something like that, right? And the prize is $2.3 million or £2.3 million. And then I don't know, in the following days, on the following weeks, it gets announced that this person won this, and maybe this person, in a private sense, you don't know this person's life, so maybe this individual is just living a normal, decent life and has a job and all of that. Maybe has like a side business they do in their spare time outside of the job, and they're just general good people, hardworking people, and they already earn a decent amount of money, and then this extra, lottery win comes in, I guess just as a reward for all of their hard work and dignity as a human being, as a person, and as a functional individual within society. And I feel like a lot of the times people who win the lottery are actually just decent, hardworking people. But on the odd occasion, yeah, you might get, some people who kind of win and were degenerates beforehand, but, they just bet on themselves and it worked out for them. But at the end of the day, even in those occasions where someone could be a degenerate, could be an alcoholic, or addicted to cigarettes or something, and, addicted to some type of drug, and every day they're further losing themselves in drugs, but at the same time, they like to gamble. Like they'll take a bet on something, right? And they might win a large prize, but at the end of the day, they put themselves in that position to win. So is it really lucky, or is it more so if he didn't bet on himself, he wouldn't have won regardless, So if he didn't put something in, he wouldn't have gotten anything out. But because I don't know. I really don't know. But because it didn't require any skill per se, it just required a monetary factor, which was like maybe you got to deposit a pound, 50 pence, whatever the case might be, to get 2.3 million pounds back, which is an insane return rate, like almost incalculable. And it's like, but it's still deserved in my opinion. It doesn't matter like what you're doing in your personal life. If you're a degenerate and you're gonna spend all the money on, like sex workers or something like that, then I don't know, go ahead. Like you as far as I'm concerned, you earned that because you put yourself in a position where it was possible for you to win and you won, But because most people don't, because they won't continuously put themselves in the position day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, like all for day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, you know, then they'll sit back and say, well, you're lucky. No, well, you didn't take the opportunities like every single time it came to you. Um, and this is not like I'm not being an advocate for gambling or anything like that. But if you're going to gamble, do it responsibly. Like just do an amount that you can afford. But the fact of the matter is that it's always good to put yourself in a position. I put something on today for Premier League games, and it's like I put 50 pence on, and I put a bet where I put match result and both teams to score, which is a double bet, all in one fold, across 5 teams, and it's like 50 pence with a potential return of 1.2k, and if it goes to cash out, well, the cash out will probably be like, I don't know, 100 or something, but it's still good compared to 50 pence, like it's a crazy return rate. So I'm just like, hey, I bet on myself and I go about my day and I do other things within my day. I don't really look back at it until the game start. Might come in and out to watch it, but other than that, I'm chilling. So I really think luck is a thing that is absolutely deserved. It's never just like, oh yeah, you happen to get it because you happen to get it. It's always some build up. It's always something. Some type of work needs to happen in order for luck to exist. I don't think luck is just this thing of like, yeah, I'm gonna walk up to you on the street and give you $1 million. There's always some type of why. There's got to be. You have a skill. You have something. Like I don't know. There's got to be. So, you know, um, so yeah, I just think that it's crazy because I think like if like you could look at this scenario and say like, okay, for example, there's a family that's struggling. They're living in impoverished areas, and they work minimum wage jobs, and within the family there's two parents, mother and father, obviously, and then say there's two kids, and one of those kids grows up and becomes a millionaire business owner at like a young age, maybe like by the time they're 30, on some Forbes under 30 type of shit, you know. And this kid, with the money that they've earned, or this person I should say, because they're a grown adult, but with the money that they've earned, maybe they, instead of decide to just spend it all on them, which they could because it's their hard earned money. Like, yeah, you could say their parents gave birth to the person, but that person had to grow up in life and find a way to put themselves in position to become successful, especially coming from a background of hardship, which isn't as impossible, but it is difficult, right? And so they could be entitled to their money and be like, I don't have to give anything back to my parents because my parents had their life and they had the chance to become rich before they had me, but they didn't, and then they decided to have me anyway. So it is what it is. And I don't necessarily look at that as like a cruel thing, because you can't, I feel like you're not in a position to just kind of outright ask your kid for like the support, it's got to be on them and within them to be willing to just do that for you anyway. And that's how like, but 9 times out of 10, a kid is going to do that, especially for their parents, and that's pretty much how you've done your job. I mean, you could ask for favors here and there, but it's not a demanding. It's more so you got to ask in a certain way. There's a certain type of tone in which you would kind of ask for help and stuff like that, especially when you see like, the kids that you raised with barely nothing, managed to grow up and become successful, and now they can give you a lot of things, right? And if you want that from your kids, I feel like it's fine to want that because it's a human emotion. But if you're going to ask that from them, there's a way in which you got to approach it, to make sure that you're not being kind of like offensive or manipulative about it, right? Because they've got their own emotions and the way they feel about things too, right? And you got to understand that there's a possibility it may not necessarily align with yours, although regardless of however much you would like it to. So I don't know. But that's just kind of an example of being a good parent, and it kind of pays off for you, right? Um, but I don't know. I think that luck absolutely is earned. You know, you can't live this life and get lucky without earning it in some type of way. Just not possible. You know. Oh, a girl blew up on OnlyFans and by selling feet pics only, and you haven't seen any of her private parts or anything like that. Um, just feet pics. Um, Pics maybe that have like, I don't know, different size nails. Maybe it's like longer nails one day, shorter nails the next day, but it's just feet pics, right? Um, but it's like, damn, how did she make, I don't know, say tens of millions of dollars just selling feet pics? That she's lucky. And it's like, yeah, on the one hand, but she also put herself in the position to be able to achieve that. If she didn't go on the website, create her account, market her page, and stay consistent in posting content, then dude, she wouldn't have even been able to amass like a hair follicle of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, people don't get lucky. If they get lucky, it's because they put themselves in positions to get lucky. You just got to find out, okay, how do I put myself in a position to get lucky? You know, because I want to be lucky. You should want to be lucky. Don't shame people for being lucky. Because the same people shaming people for being lucky are also the same people who want to be lucky deep down, right? But they're just, the only difference is that they're unwilling to do what others did in order to receive that, you know, in order to have that as a realistic outcome for themselves. And yeah, it's kind of tragic, you know. I was gonna turn my phone notifications off because I don't want anybody distracting me and making my video. I think they're off. I think it's on silent mode. But um, don't down people for their hard work, even if their hard work looks different to your hard work. Because what you consider hard work and what someone else considers hard work is completely different. People might look at a streamer and say, "Oh, that's not hard work," but what if they're doing a streamathon, streamer marathon, right? Where they're streaming for 24 hours for a whole month, like kind of like Kai Cenat did like a while ago, maybe a year ago or so. And a lot of streamers have caught onto the method and, you know, do things like that. Like Clavicular now, he's going crazy. Like, shout out my boy. Like, I mess with his content a lot. He's just funny, like super nonchalant and just deadpan. It's kind of like hilarious, you know. Kind of reminds me of like, he's like the personification of like someone on 4chan. But I think, you know, and people say, "Oh, you streaming, you just making videos all day. Like, that ain't hard content." It's like, okay, so you forgot the all day part. Like, you go to a job, if you're working a 9 to 5, you're working from only 9 to 5. But I'm working from, I'm editing, I'm making a video, I'm posting it, I'm marketing it, like I'm reposting it. I'm, you know, um, I'm posting it in alternative formats and to cater towards different platforms. Um, you know, I'm seeing how the algorithm works, and I got to keep up with it all the time because there's always some new thing that's like popping off that you might need to make sure you're aware of at the right time so you can kind of capitalize off of it. And all this work, it's like, and it's how can people like demean and downplay like all the work that goes into being a content creator or an influencer and just be like, you're only an influencer, I'm an engineer. And it's like, okay, but both things are valuable, which is why both people get paid. And in fact, if anything, the influencer is more valuable because they get paid more. I don't care about what you have to say, like when it comes to being like, oh, but one is physically building something, the other is digitally building something. Yeah, I agree with that. Obviously, that's a fact. But I'm saying the physical infrastructure of things, we already have a lot of physical infrastructure nowadays. And I'm not saying it's not still required, because it is, because it's a job and it still gets paid, and it's still, people are still seeking out engineers and things like that. And a lot of them get paid really well. Like if you're exceptional at it, or if you engineer in a specific, like, you know, I don't know, like in a specific way or category, like you can get paid, you can be a millionaire for being an engineer, possibly. Um, I think that does exist. I haven't looked into it too much, so um, I know for sure I can say obviously you can be a six-figure earner, right? But a seven-figure earner, I'm not sure. But if you happen to find some niche and even blend it with some social media, yeah, possibly, you know? So, I mean, it just goes to show how important social media is. I find a way to relate everything back to social media, because we really are living in like the metaverse, and have been for 25 years, and it's only going more and more crazy, and like it's only going to continue to evolve and grow, and um so for people who think like social media is um gonna become obsolete, yeah, maybe in the later future. I mean, but it's and I don't think physical labor, manual labor is gonna, regular 9 to 5 jobs, I don't think they're ever gonna become obsolete, because since the dawn of human history, we've always kind of had that, like whether we were on the farm, helping the farmer, um cleaning up, deceased animals, or like, think like, in the wildlife, or nowadays in the modern society, like, we're looking at like more so like building skyscrapers and things like that, and like um fixing, like fixing infrastructure, and further development of infrastructure and buildings, and sales, and like all that type of stuff, right? Like it's a different time we live in now, but a lot of the principles from the previous, from some of the earliest moments in human history, still apply today, and they will always apply. Doesn't matter how much AI progresses. It doesn't matter if Elon starts rolling out the Autobots. Like, you know, there's some things to life that never change, but they just evolve. Um, so yeah, man, you have to work hard in order to be lucky, you know. And again, hard work doesn't look the same to everybody. Your hard work is not my hard work, but I mean, okay, you can be an engineer or whatever it is that you are, or a telephone salesman or something like that, or saleswoman. Um, but if you're working a set hours a day, and say you don't own the business, but you're working within the business, and you're working for a specific set hours of the day, like 8 hours a day, and then after that you get to go do what you want, which probably means you're going to chill out, or you're going to party, or you might do a side hustle, you know what I'm saying? You might take up more work. Then, if you take up a side hustle as an example, right, compared to your normal job, then it would be somewhat of a comparison you could make there, to be like, hold on, if I'm getting paid a lot less and I'm still working the same amount that you work, because you do 24 hours, I damn near do 24 hours as well. Okay, then we can have a conversation. But if you're doing 8 hours, my friend, and I'm doing like 16, right up until I go to bed, from the first thing I do from when I wake up until the moment I close my eyes, we're not really the same. I'm putting in twice the amount of hours that you are, twice the amount of work. Of course, I get paid twice more, or however much more. But over a longer period of time, I'll get paid more than twice. If I'm putting 16 hours of work into a day, and you're putting 8 hours of work into a day, I'm putting in twice as much of work in 24-hour day than you are every single day. And if that continues for the rest of the time that we apply to working in our lives, so let's say from the ages of 20 years old until like 70, right, or 60, 40 to 50 years, give or take, like over time, I'm going to get paid more than twice your wage. Like I'm going to get paid like exponential. Like you can't even calculate that stuff. Why? Because I've been doing twice as much as you've been doing for 40 years straight. So of course, at the end of that period, when I'm 60 and you're 60, and you're looking at like 6 figures in your retirement, in your pension, and I'm looking at 8 figures, 9 figures, 10 figures perhaps in my pension, it's not the same, because I I've put more work in than you. But your definition of hard work and my definition of hard work is different. Maybe you don't want to work as long, you know? Maybe you don't want to do something that requires you to be a bit more, I don't know, exposed or extroverted, or you know what I'm saying? And then there's different rates for that. There's different pay gaps there. So you got to pick your poison at the end of the day. Like, bro, um, you have full free will to choose whatever you want to do in this life. And um, no one can really truly tell you what to do, regardless of what people might think. You know, a lot of the times people won't say it to your face. And if they do say it to your face, own it and be like, yeah, that's what I do. And what? What else more do they have to say? Oh, okay. Yeah, you're stating what I do. I already knew that. Why do you have to tell me? You know? But if you want to tell me, then obviously, yeah, I agree, because that is what I'm doing. So, like, I'm not going to tell you I'm doing something else. So I'm not going to tell you no. Yeah, I'm an influencer. Yeah, I do content for a living and I don't work a job. And I'm proud of it because I put my all into this, and I try to just, share my thoughts and be as real and authentic as I possibly can. And I know that comes across on camera. So, yeah, there's nothing for me to be ashamed of. I don't carry myself with shame. So, sometimes you got to stand on business. You know? So, I don't know. I think there's different struggles to not being good at something and then being good at something. Being good at something meaning that you have to continue to be good and get better. Because if you become good at something and then stop putting in the effort once you kind of make it, right? It's going to be a thing of where, like, people can tell you're not putting in as much effort as before, and they're going to be like, they're going to feel betrayed and they're going to switch up on you. Unless there are nuances, there's occasions where, a certain person has solidified themselves. Say you look at Drake, right? Drake is a good artist. Like, I like Drake, but he used to be a lot better up until like from 2009, from like So Far Gone till say Views. That was like peak Drake. Everyone knows this. Drake ain't made like really good music, timeless music, since for 5 years at least, bro. Probably longer than that, like a decade we're looking at this point, bro. Views came out 10 years ago. I was like 13. So, like, looking on, like MTV and like, no, not MTV, but like just pop radio channels and stuff like that. And like looking at Controller and stuff like that. And looking at Drake and Rihanna videos, like they're the GOATs. And now it's not the same. And so Drake is like, he's already made it. Like, when that Views, bro, that Views check, I know it hit different. When that Views money came in, like after how successful that album was, I'm pretty sure it sold like 1 million in the first week or like a first month of it being released. So it went platinum within like the first week or month it was released, and it was pretty much the most searched artist in the world. Like Hotline Bling was the biggest meme in the world at one point. The whole pointing type of meme, like where he's in the red Moncler jacket and the Timberland boots and the blue jeans. Like, that shit was like, it was kind of iconic, I'm not gonna lie. But after that, Drake just stopped trying. Like, slowly and surely over time, he just stopped caring about the music anymore. Like, what's Meet Your Padre, bro? Like, what are we doing? He's like, Vamos pa mi casa, mi amor. Like, what? It's so funny, bro. I ain't gonna lie, that song is just a meme. But what happened to Take Care Drake? What happened to Nothing Was the Same Drake? What happened to If You're Reading This is Too Late Drake? Like, Energy Drake, bro. Like, it's just not the same, bro. It's not the same. His voice is so flat nowadays. It's so dry. He still has a couple of bangers from time to time, but you can see, like, that's one of the examples I wanted to give of someone who people might say he's lucky now, because when you listen to his music now, you'll hear, it's not the best music in the world. This is kind of like, Drake is like the McDonald's of the music industry. Like, he makes the most cheap sounding pop/rap songs ever, and he goes #1 all the time. He's always in your face, but he's always so mediocre. And it's like, And similar to like Taylor Swift as well. But actually, I don't really want to speak too much on Taylor because I love you Swifties and I don't want any beef, all right? So let's just forget I ever went into that world. But we'll go back to Drake, right? My Canadian boy. And it's just like people listen to his music now and think, oh, Drake is lucky to be as big as he is. Yeah, now he is, but once upon a time he wasn't, because he was actually putting in the work. He was once upon a time like he was just a student trying to become the master, and because of that, he became the master of this whole like ambient R&B, pop rap, like fusion genre that is so popular nowadays. Like he was the king of that for a minute, bro. And now it's like when he replicates that sound now, it doesn't sound as lively. It doesn't sound as moving, bro. It just sounds like a worse version of his old self. You know, the vocals are worse, the lyrics are worse. And I still mess with some Drake records from time to time, but songs like Way Too Sexy, Meet Your Padre, Gently, like he's trying to do things that it just sound terrible, bro. Like it sounds like he's a meme. Like even songs like what was that one with it was the Hey Wagwan Delilah? Like, bro, what's that? Like so many meme songs, bro. Even the Heart Part 6 when it came with like the whole Drake thing. I know that was like 2 years ago now. But it's crazy to say that was 2 years ago because the beef kind of still feels fresh to a certain degree. It just feels like it's lingering all the time. But even when you look at that whole thing, and it's like, bro, Drake is not even trying barely anymore with his new music. Because if he actually tries, bro, this upcoming Iceman project could be good. You know, if we get like a 14-song Drake album with, you know, in-house like producers, just like 40, like Noah Shabib, all those guys producing. Get this moody ambient R&B, you know, mixed with maybe some like Memphis type of production, because Drake does do good over Memphis beats when he's rapping, but when he's singing, it's like the ambient R&B type of stuff, like, and mix that into one project. That would be hard. Like, get a double disc. We get 7 R&B songs, 7 rap songs. We get a couple of features that really fit, you know, like for each genre and each disc. And that's it. Keep it short and sweet. And it'll be considered a classic album. And people will genuinely constantly come back to it. And it'll only have more staying power and earn more money over time. Maybe not up front, like, but unless you have a hit on it. But over time, it will be more appreciated. And I feel like Drake is not focused on that. He's just focused on like, how many different genres can I do? How many different accents can I put on? How many, you know, to appeal to everybody and make the most hits. But that's not what makes the greatest music always, you know? Unless you can do it well. And he doesn't do it all that well because he's not focused enough. You know, he's doing too much that he can't do it very well, you know? So that's the thing of where you could say Drake is lucky, but you could also say he's not lucky, because before he really got lucky, he had to build for a long time. You know, yeah, he did get mainstream quite early. He had hits like pretty much out the gate because he was already a recognizable, like he was already a public figure. He was already on Degrassi, like he was already an actor and a movie star. So to a degree, so it's like all you had to do was be able to translate that following into music. But that being said, it's not all that easy. Not like you can't just do it in the way I'm speaking right now. Like there's more actions behind, there's more things that have to take place. And you could say Lil Wayne put him on. Yeah, all of that type of stuff. But at the same time, at the end of the day, it's him singing the music. No one else is singing it. It's not AI. It's him rapping the music. No one's rapping it. It's not AI. So give credit to Drake where credit is due. You know? And yeah, I think nowadays you can say he's lucky, but he's just eating, he's just pretty much living off of the name brand he's built at this point. And it's not really the music anymore, but it's more so the aesthetic behind it that allows for him to do whatever he wants and not have as much effort or care as he did in the past and still be successful and still get taken seriously, you know? Up until people have a reason not to, which is kind of his recent output. especially in this decade compared to the previous decade. So we'll have to see what Drake does for the rest of the end of the decade, because I always feel like there's a chance at redemption in it. But I really don't know. I couldn't tell you like where he's gonna go with his career. Um, and if he's gonna get really serious and dialed in with music again, like he said, dialed in on For All the Dogs, but that project didn't sound. It sounded the furthest thing from dialed in, like I might have ever heard in my life, bro. And I do like a couple songs off there, like First Person Shooter, but like it's not gonna make up for all the bloat, and AM in Charlotte. But it is what it is, man. Anyways, this was a bit of a yapping session, but I think you can see the distinction that I've been able to make between luck and actually being good at something. So yeah, until next time, man.